I'm the president of Tallmadge Little League. I've been involved with Little League for about 10 years now, coaching, managing, holding many different positions, and even doing some of the umpiring. I got involved with Little League because I knew some of the people when we moved to Tallmadge that were involved and thought it was a good opportunity to join the community and get involved. For me, it has become about the kids. We have over 500 kids this year, and we have for the last couple of years. And for me, it's not my couple of kids that play, it's the 500 kids. So I do what I do to provide a good experience for all of these children.
My Little League experience, I started playing when I was 8 years old. And back then, they would come to the schools and talk about the softball programs or the baseball programs for Little League to get the kids interested in coming out to play. And I distinctly remember my mom was getting ready to go somewhere, and I'm like, Mom, you know, I've got to play softball. And back then, my parents both played softball. And so they were like, okay, we'll think about it. Not realizing that was gonna encroach on, you know, their time with softball. And it took a long time for me to convince them to play, so much that the season had already started, and I badgered them, I guess, enough for me to play that I ended up getting on a team. They'd already started practicing, and my first team was the Orioles, and that was with Judd and Mary Roberts. And so this would have been 1977.
So I began playing Tallmadge Little League in 1981. I played for the Padres, the Giants, and the Expos. I also had the privilege of being able to experience Little League through my daughter, Katie, who's with me today. And she played Little League as well. And Katie, when did you play Little League?
I started Little League in 2018 playing for the Eagles, and I finished in 2023 playing for the Little League Majors team.
I joined Tallmadge Little League softball as young as I can remember, which would have been T-ball, and then I played coach pitch, and then went to the majors, and then eventually played at Tallmadge High School.
So I first joined Tallmadge Little League in 1998 is when I started playing T-ball. So I played T-ball for 2 years, and then I did 2 years of coach pitch, 2 years of minors, and 2 years of majors. My favorite positions to play were shortstop and pitcher, which led me to continue my pitching career further down the line as well.
My first experience with Little League softball, first of all, I love the game. I played baseball when I was young. I played into being an adult. I played softball as an adult. I umpired and played, and I've always loved the game of baseball. So I got involved when my daughter started to play in Tallmadge Little League. They had a girls softball league that had been around for a few years. So this was in 1979. And my wife and I decided to coach a team, and that was my first exposure to Tallmadge Little League softball. George would be over at the side of the fence, and I noticed that when I called the safes and outs, George was over there, and he'd be calling them too. He'd say out, and he'd say save. And he came to every game. So at the end of that first season, I walked over to George, and I had a clicker, a counter, that balls and strikes and innings. And at the end of the year, I walked over and I gave it to George. Just for him coming to all the games. You remember that? As George showed up the next year, and I had a gift for him, and that was a rule book. I gave George a rule book, and I gave him a hat. So George was off to the side along the first base line behind the fence, and he'd be there, he'd be keeping track of the count and the outs, and calling it safe in the outs at first base. So eventually I asked the coaches whether George could come out on the field. and umpire. They agreed, and George was out, and so he was the first base umpire. And as time went on, he got pretty good at it. And acceptance from the league. George became kind of a regular fixture. Having somebody like George and the community opening up to George was refreshing. And I think it added something to the league.
My daughter inspired me to get involved in a program about Little League, or an ad that I saw in the Tallmadge Express at the time. She was 11. She was a good athlete. She wanted to play ball so badly, and I didn't want her playing baseball. And that's how I got involved.
The same as Sandy. My daughter was 9 at the time, and she had been supporting her older brother, 3 years older, and through high school, first of all, through Little League, Tallmadge Little League program, high school, and so on. And she came to me one day and just said, "Mom, I want to play baseball." So that's where it started.
This was something new to me too, starting off, and this is when it first started. I opened up with it, and don't know a whole lot, remember a whole lot that what happened, but we got it going with my daughter, oldest daughter too, and she played on and on, kept on going until the next daughter came along. I was real happy with starting the team. I knew nothing about it, but we got along real well.
So most of my years in Little League, my dad was my coach. He kind of followed me up through the years, and it was definitely nice having someone who I was comfortable with be my coach, because I always felt supportive and comfortable in everything I was doing with all my teams.
I had Mr. Carter and my dad as a coach, and I also had Paul Becks, and they all influenced me. They really helped me grow as a player and who I am today. Like, they made me who I am today.
I went out, I had my tryout, we fielded, we threw, we hit, and the coach comes up to me afterwards and says, "Who are you and where did you come from?" And I said, "I came from Tallmadge Little League." You know, the fundamentals, the discipline, the leadership, you know, the skills of the game, the love of the game, for me, came straight from Tallmadge Little League. Katie, what positions did you like best when you played Little League?
So when I was younger, I really liked catching and being a catcher. And as I got older, I started liking pitching and second base more.
My favorite memory from that experience was probably meeting teams from all over the world. We played girls from the Philippines, from Latin America, from Canada. So it was just really neat to become friends with them and then compete with them and just share the experience of being at the World Series with them.
One of my coolest memories was when my high schooler was 9 years old. She was selected to the 11U All-Star team, and the manager put her in the leadoff position for one of our district games, and she led off the game with a nice little base hit. So that, to me, has always stuck out as one of my coolest memories. She was this little 9-year-old playing with a bunch of 11-year-old girls, and for them to kind of take her in and welcome her into the team and treat her as a part of the group, even though she's 2 grades different than them, and then for her to have that opportunity to go out there and, you know, get the game started on a high note. It was a really cool memory for her and for me.
One of my favorite memories growing up in Tallmadge Little League was playing for the Giants in 1982. That year we won the championship, and so that was exciting, playing with friends. I remember celebrating at home plate, riding in the back of the pickup truck to celebrate with my teammates, and at the end of the season we also received a medal that said champs on the back and had the year 1982, and that was something that I was really proud of, and actually something that I still have today. Katie, what was some of your favorite things about playing for Tallmadge Little League?
So some of my favorite things to do or just being active and getting to play with my friends and just the overall experience.
I would definitely just go back to any of the 3 nights where I figured out that I made the All-Star team, because we all meet at midnight and go check the board at Stein Field, and it's just so fun to look around and see all your friends smiling, just figuring out that you made the team.
Yeah, I would agree with that memory. That was so fun, just like the excitement, but also like whenever we had tournaments, we would stay in hotels with our teammates, and it was just so fun, like having time together.
This is our 50th anniversary. Tallmadge Little League Softball started in 1975 as an official Little League program. I want to thank all the people that started this program 50 years ago and all the people that have been involved for the last 50 years, and especially to all of our sponsors that help us keep us going. It's with all the companies and small businesses that sponsor us, that allows us to provide one of the best experiences around for our girls. We have some of the nicest fields, and we've had such success over the years at the Little League level, and then continue that on to high school level. One of the coolest things that I noticed the other night, I went to one of the high school team practices, open gyms, and I knew every single girl in there because every single one of them have played Little League at one point in their lives. And I believe that tradition has been going on for 50 years now, and I hope it continues for 50 more.
As I said, Tallmadge softball has been just a major part of my family's life.
Looking back now, it's completely different, the way people coach, but the teams are still doing very well, and I'm so glad I was involved in it half of the 50 years.
Celebrating 50 years, that's unreal, because I have a pretty vivid imagination, and I can go back 50 years and I can remember those little faces that I looked down at, and that's how I remember them. And I saw a young lady about 2 weeks ago at the store. She knew me, and she came right up, "Hi, Coach, how are you?" And I said, "Oh my, I know you're Neil, but I can't tell you your first name right now." That's the wonderful part.
The history behind Little League, because of 3 young women at the time. And here we are, loving the program, loving the memories, and hopefully seeing these young girls play and continue to enjoy these memories through them.
I think it was Bob Hope that used to say, had a phrase that he ended his shows with, and I'd like to say that to all the girls, all the people I met in Little League softball, thanks for the memories.